Before I start the third part of our zoo tour this week, I would like to let you know that on the 16th of July, it is International Guinea Pig Day, and we're going to have Gertie's Guinea Pig Rescue down here all day at our guinea pig village enclosure doing demonstrations, and there's going to be all kinds of guinea pig related stuff happening. So if you're into the pigs, come down on the 16th of July. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to Northumberland Zoo on YouTube. My name is Maxine. I'm one of the managers here. So here we are. We are ready for our third part of the zoo tour. It's taken a very long time. Last week we got from the tree porcupines and wild theatre all the way down to the lemurs. So this week we're going to be having a look at a few of our more kind of popular kind of flagship species. We're down that bottom end of the zoo where all the cats are. So let's get started. So the River Walk is such a stunning place. I love it down here. It's very like kind of cozy, and there's lots of planting, and it's amazing. The wildlife's brilliant. The first thing that you kind of see, oh, I need to do a new sign. That is horrific. The first thing you see is this giant crayfish. And this crayfish was created by a guy called Tolmy Etherington, and he makes sculptures out of bits of cars and motorcycles and all kinds of stuff. And the Northumberland Rivers Trust actually funded this project. So you can see all these different panels, all been cut to size. We've got some rebar in there as well. That there is like a badge off of an American motorbike. I think we figured out what it was off. As you go around here, we've got various bumpers and panels and stuff, and these are like toilet floaty things. Mind-blowing. And the whole point of that was to kind of raise awareness for the white-clawed crayfish. We know it's black, but the whole point was to try and recycle parts, and we didn't want to change the parts too much. It was all about the kind of repurposing of those materials. So yes, he is black, but he is representing the white-clawed crayfish. So that is super cool. Right, over here, as we walk down here, this is kind of a dead end, but it's an exciting end, and I can tell you why here in a second. As we peer around this corner, somebody is watching us. So, these are our Canadian Lynx, and I don't have my glasses in at the minute, so I can't quite tell if that is shadow or ghost. The keepers are loving watching these videos and correcting me every time I'm wrong. But we've got 3 Canadian Lynx boys down here. These are the first cats that we welcomed to the zoo, and they are awesome. So we got these 3 boys back in 2019, I think it was. It was kind of like our first big boy steps into getting some kind of more dangerous animals. These 3 boys were born at Hamilton Zoo. They are brothers, and the Canadian Lynx is not the largest lynx in the world. There's 4 types of lynx slash kind of bobcat thing altogether. You've got the Eurasians at the top, they're the biggest, and the Iberians. Then you've got your Canadian ones, and then the bobcats are like the smallest. So they're well known for the tufts on the ears, their little beardy bits, and the little tiny diddy little tails as well. So there's another one up on top of the platform at the back there I can see. They're quite difficult to spot, but generally they love being up a height. They absolutely love that big oak tree in the middle there. And obviously in the summer it's quite difficult to spot them in all the leaves and stuff, but it's pretty cool that they've chosen to go on these platforms. The keepers made all these platforms probably about 6 months ago for them, and they use them really, really well. The plan for these guys is that we're not going to breed them. There's no kind of recommendation to breed them in the UK. There's not very many collections that keep them, so the main focus is on the Eurasian lynx, because obviously those are the ones that are closer to home. So we kind of built this enclosure with the intention of one day maybe having Eurasian lynx and being part of that breeding program. But obviously we've got a responsibility to these boys now, so we'll keep them for as long as they live. I think one of the boys is probably going to be moving out soon. He's got a potential home and a potential mate in France. So I think Ghost will be going out soon. But there's a lot of paperwork in place with exporting to Europe, so we'll see how that goes. But it's a lovely exhibit. What I'll do is I'll take you up and I'll take you around the back and I'll show you what it looks like. But yeah, they're very sweet boys. Unlike the other cats that we've got on site, the Canadian Lynx are extremely shy. I know there's a lot of like worry and kind of concern about releasing Eurasian lynx into the wild in the UK, because people are worried that, you know, people are going to get attacked, kids are going to get attacked and stuff, but they are such shy, elusive creatures. If one of the lynx got out, I can guarantee you it would just disappear. They're not aggressive in that way, obviously, unless you corner them, but they're super duper shy. Even to work with them, you know, the keepers that work with them every day, I mean, we've had them for 4 and a bit years now. You can tongue feed a few of them, but generally they don't really want to know you too much. Not like the snow leopards that'll come over and hang out with you. So, right, we'll just go and have a look at the top of the lynx enclosure, and then I will show you the raccoons. So here's the top of the lynx. This is a view you wouldn't normally get. It's a pretty good view. Kind of goes down the hill a bit, so there's lots of spaces up here where the lynx can hang out if they don't want to be on show. Can't really see them from here, but we'll go around the other side and have a little look. This is their house. It's not massive, but the lynx do spend a lot of time outside. This is mainly for issues when we've got high winds. So, got a little indoor house there. So, have a little peep in there if you can see that. They've got 3 dens in there in total. 1 for each, in case we have to separate them all. I'll go down the side here, have a little look at the paddock. So for those of you who have done like lynx encounters, this is what you would have seen. We've got a couple of little holding areas here. I beat the keepers down here this morning because they haven't been cleaned yet, but there's 2 holding areas with a little kind of arboreal kind of bed over there in that pen. You can see we're being watched by a cat over there. There he is. They're very shy. And then this is the paddock. Go down here and see what they're doing. I'm walking down here and there's already a cat moving away. Super shy. Can you see him over there behind the tree? So this is one of the reasons why we actually stopped offering lynx encounters, is because with all the best intentions in the world, yes, we want to do a lynx encounter with these cats. The cats don't want to do a lynx encounter with us. They are so shy. So he's hiding behind that tree now. It's been a long time since I've actually worked with these animals, so again, they're probably like, why are you here? But generally, this is why we don't do lynx encounters, because you're not guaranteed to get anywhere near them. The snow leopards are a lot more kind of, what's the word, cooperative. But yeah, I'm still being watched from that one over there. But yeah, there you go. So that's the lynx enclosure. Right, moving on to the next one. Around the back here, it's such a nice quiet corner down here. So this here is the back of the raccoon enclosure. Now, you've only ever seen the front of the raccoon enclosure, which is pretty impressive, but if I just show you how big it is from the back, it is amazing. So obviously we've got lemurs down there, so it's all the way along this fence here and all the way up to that top corner where Callum is. There's their house there. This is their little pond, which unfortunately is off show, so you know, you guys don't get to see them playing around in it, but it's great for the raccoons. You know, the keepers can just pop along here, chuck some food in the pond, and that's it. The raccoons are having a pool party. And then up the middle of the enclosure there, you can see Callum's just giving them their breakfast in the distance there. But they got all these trees, access to all these trees here. It's just an amazing exhibit. Super cool. We'll go around the back and just have a quick look at the holding facilities, because, you know, this is a proper behind the scenes tour. I want you guys to see something a little bit different than what we normally do. So this year we acquired 3 more raccoons from East Durham College. They decided they didn't want to use them anymore, so we actually built a whole extra facility to kind of mix them in, if you like. Mixing raccoons can be a little bit tricky, but they are generally social animals, but with all these raccoons basically coming from kind of ex-pet situations, their social skills are not great. So we built this extra facility. Morning. We built this extra facility to try and create like a bit of a mixing area, so it's a big loop. Also, this makes for great kind of off-show holding if the winds get high, so we've actually got more space to accommodate our raccoons when the winds are high, because before they just had the house, but now we've doubled their space, so when it's windy they're not kind of losing out. So in there we've got the main holding pen, there's a little den which is in that bit, and there's 2 big dens in here, so there's actually 4 areas in total. We've got a couple of little kind of tunnels and things to get, so it's like a big loop. And then here's the top side of the enclosure. They're all having their breakfast, so they've got little access points to the house. Probably wondering, how do we keep them in? Well, it's just all here. This here is like a kind of rabbit netting that you would get for your garden. So we've kind of mounted that on the fence, so it is hot wire. It's not massively strong, but it's enough to keep the raccoons in. And that's, although you might think it's quite cruel, it's great that we can do that with them and give them access to real trees. Because if we didn't do the hot wire, we'd have to build them a big structure, like a big box. And that doesn't look very natural. It doesn't have any real trees in it. It's not very fun. So if we do this to contain them, we can give them access to an amazing section of land. So our raccoon enclosure, I love it. It's just brilliant. And the raccoons love it as well. They're always doing stuff. And of course, if you haven't done already, we have got the Zoo Life cameras. So this camera here is live right now around the world. If you log on to our app, which is free, you can have a little look under raccoons and see the live feed camera, and you can actually pan, tilt and zoom that in. We're being looked at here. I think they think that we've got more food for them. So they're just having their breakfast. We have lost a couple of raccoons this year, just to old age. So you're not allowed to breed raccoons in this country because they are invasive species. So, you know, when these guys die out, then that'll be the last of the raccoons in the UK, which is quite sad. Because I think they make great ambassadors, and even the Zoo Life camera, people say that camera is one of the most popular cameras that they have. So obviously people love them, and from an educational point of view and a flagship point of view, I think that it's a great exhibit, but the law is the law. Right, so there we go, from raccoons. You can see that's where the lemur entranceway is. That's where we were the other day. We go up here. I'll just do a bit of a wider shot here. This is our snow leopard exhibit. So this happened in December 2020. It's quite a vast expanse, and we've got plans to kind of do some different things with the exhibits as well, and increase the viewing area space for the public. We've got a lot of projects on at the moment, so I'm not sure when we'll fit it in, but we've certainly got the plans in. But this is one of our outdoor paddocks. So we had like 300-400 tons of rock donated from the local quarry, which makes a great kind of mountainy view for the snow leopards to sit on. They love sitting on that platform and staring at the raccoons. That's one of their favorite pastimes. So this is all one paddock here. I know the keepers have put some plans in that they would really like to kind of put some more features down the back there, because although they have all this space, unless there's actually stuff in it that's quality, the snow leopards won't use it. So that whole bit area there doesn't really get used. So we've got plans in to put more kind of feeding platforms and kind of resting platforms. The idea would be to put like a bit of a visitor footpath down in between the snowies and the raccoons, so you can actually get down the side of this enclosure and have more viewing areas. Now, if you've been to the zoo and you've wondered why we've made these munchkin windows, it's not because we decided to make munchkin windows. We built this enclosure before we tarmacked, so the tarmac has lifted up a little bit, the path, so now these windows seem a little bit small. So apologies if you're tall, but one of the other plans is to raise them back up again. Again, when you do things in an order that, you know, when you're growing, when you grow organically like what we have, you don't necessarily do things in the right order sometimes, but you would get there in the end, and I think it still looks really good. So I'll just walk straight in here. This is the snow leopard indoor viewing house. So I love this house. I think it's something that I'm so pleased we decided to do. It was a massive expense, probably definitely the most expensive part of the snow leopard enclosure, but the snow leopards love it. So there's not very many zoos in the UK that have indoor on-show facilities that are themed like this. Ours was the first, but it's great because the snow leopards come running in here and they chase each other around, and it looks like a lot more natural. So if people want to take photos and videos and stuff, it looks cool. The idea of the snow leopard enclosure is that it can be split in two, and that's for various different reasons. So when we first got the Canadian Lynx, it was a bit of a challenge because we never had anything like that before. So it was kind of like, ooh, are you guys going to be capable of keeping this larger cat? When you start going into snow leopard territory, it's quite a big thing. So we had to go in front of like the species committee, put all of our plans in, put our staff experience in, prove that we were capable of housing such a dangerous species. So I submitted the plans, and the idea is when you join the stud book, because it's a European stud book, so there's like a god, if you like, for each species. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but that person has a list of every single snow leopard in captivity, like in Europe. And they're the ones that are in charge of like pairing this one with that one to make sure the genetics are really good. So the stud book are the ones who decide who gets what. So these are our first snow leopards ever. So what you would tend to get as a new collection is animals that are not necessarily sought after. So these two girls, they are sisters from Highland Wildlife Park. They have got a genetic condition. So that means that we can't breed them. So there's not very many big zoos that would want them, just because you can't breed them. But these two girlies still needed a home. Look at them there. So they did tell us from the outset, like, this is the crack, you won't be able to breed them. Neva was actually born with her eyelid inside out. She's had over half a dozen operations to fix her eyelid and put it the right way around. So now when you look at her, she's got like a funny like eyes pointing in the wrong direction. But she's absolutely fine. Like, she's totally healthy, vets have checked her, she's totally fine. And Carly, obviously, she's a sister, so she has that gene in her to produce that kind of fault. So it'd be very irresponsible to breed from these two animals. However, they're still here, they still need a life, they still need to be looked after, and they're still amazing ambassadors for their species. So loads of people come to the zoo every day, and they absolutely love these two girls. And we've raised loads of money for the Snow Leopard Trust, which is a conservation charity out in Mongolia, Kazakhstan, all those places, because of these two. So although they don't have any like breeding value, they still have loads of value within our zoo. So we'll have them for their life, but the facility has been built for breeding. So as I was saying before, we've got two pens. So this is the second pen here. This one's got a lot more stuff going on at the back there, so the snow leopards do sometimes sit at the back. We're having a right job trying to keep on top of wildlife, like plants and stuff, but we're getting there. So the idea is that we can split these two enclosures completely. So if we did have a breeding pair in the future, we can have mum and cubs in the on-show den and the second enclosure. And if we needed to, you can sometimes keep the male in with the mum and cubs, but if you didn't want to, the male could have this paddock and have an indoor pen in the house as well. So his welfare is not compromised in that situation. I just wanted to make sure that we could separate the animals if we needed to, and they would have loads of space. So for whatever reason, if these two girls fall out, they are getting kind of like 4 or 5 years old. They're still getting a little bit argy-bargy, but generally they look pretty content, then we can separate them off. That's the plan anyways. But hopefully they'll stay together. But yeah, there's another Zoo Life camera on our app if you want to see these guys. The Zoo Life camera is mounted in the indoor house bit, so you can actually zoom in and pan round and see them sleeping and stuff, because they always sleep in the on-show den, which is cool. Snow leopards have a bit of a daily routine. They love to sit over here in the morning, watch all the farm animals going out, lick their lips a bit, and in the afternoon they watch the raccoons. It's the life of a snow leopard, huh? Right, so we're walking along the top path now, and we've got alpacas in here at the minute. There's a nice view of the snow leopards there. Lemur Woods is there. That's that big lemur woods there, which is pretty cool. Alpacas are in here just at the minute, but they will be moving over to the barn soon, and this area here will be redeveloped. I won't tell you what that is yet. This was where the alpacas live. Look at this hedge. It's insane. So much birds lives in here. It's brilliant. So here we are at the Capybara tapir house. We've got two different paddocks on this. We've got this sand paddock on the left here, and then we've got this kind of, what's it called, a ha-ha paddock on this side, which has like a, you can see Tobias the tapir there. So it's this big ha-ha which contains them, so that you can actually have kind of, what's the word, obstacle-free viewing of the animals. So Tobias is having a little wander around there. The capybara, I think, might be, they must have access to the other side at the minute. But the beauty of this house is that we can mix them around and mix and match, do what we want. So this is inside the viewing house. You can see the keepers at the back there doing a bit of tidying up. So they've got an indoor pool in here. And then they've got another pool out in the yard as well. All the capybara are hiding away. We do a lot of capybara encounters. That's like one of the most popular things. So the idea with this house is that, again, it's got an on-show den and a paddock attached to it, or it could be attached to that paddock. It's just pure, like, ease of moving animals. Capybaras are out the back at the minute. We're going to give them access to the grass paddock. We can mix them all around. The plan is that we're gonna, my dad's down there at the minute working on the old capybara house. That's that wooden one in the distance, and we're gonna get that reinstated as a capybara house, just so we have extra facilities for holding animals. Because at the minute I think we've got 4 babies from this year, 2 females, so that's 6, plus the dad, that's 7, plus the last year's 6, so there's 13 capybara in here at the minute. That's a lot. And capybara, they can be a little bit naughty when they get to a certain age, so being able to separate them out is good. You know, some of the older babies were being a bit naughty with the little babies, so we separated them out. So dads with the older kids and moms with the younger kids. But yeah, the capybara exhibit is it's really nice. We finished this last year. Right, let's have a little bit of a wander along here. Let's see how we're doing for time. Oh, we're not doing too bad. Thank you for still being here, if you're still here. This is great. It's a lovely day as well, isn't it? Right, here, this is where I was doing all that filming with those bees. You know, that bee video, I don't know if you saw it. And all the bees were just like buzzing around these willow trees. It's brilliant. Not there anymore. This is our old goat paddock. We have currently got our sheep in here. They're over there. Can't really see them that close. If you haven't been and seen them already, we've got our new Swiss Valais black nose sheep. There's 3 of them, and they are super sweet. They're like the proper Shaun the Sheep ones, you know, where they got the black face, black ears, and like white heads. I always put his head back down again. But they are very, very pretty. They're just lambs, so they're only young. They've just let down underneath the ramp there. So these sheep are just in here trying to do a bit of grazing, bit of ground management, but as you can see they're not doing a very good job. We probably need more sheep. But yeah, they'll be moving over to the domestics area as well, and this area will be getting redeveloped. I'm not telling you what it is yet, sorry. Right, wallabies. Wallaby walkthrough. Now, most people think we've got adult wallabies and baby wallabies. That is not the case. Those are Bennett's wallabies and those are Parma wallabies. No amount of signs can share that information, it seems. But we've got this wallaby walkthrough, so you can actually go in with our wallabies. We can go in and have a quick look round. This used to be a goat pen and rhea. We had white rhea at the time, actually. So that's what used to be in here before the wallows moved in. Lucy, our new curator, has done all this cool theming on the wallaby walkabout. Gosh, I really need to redo some signs. It's amazing what the sun does to everything. So, there we go. So in here, we've got a little pen at the back there, which is kind of like a separation pen. So for whatever reason we ever need to kind of catch them up or whatever, we can move them into there. And then this is the main kind of walkthrough bit. This exhibit is unmanned generally because the wallabies don't really want to be that close to people, so we don't have to worry about people hand feeding them stuff, touching them, riding them, doing all the things that people do when they come to your zoo. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Right. Morning, Rachel.
Hello, I'm fine, you're right.
You're right.
Sorry, did I cough on your video?
No, you're fine.
Coughing me guts out, coming up there.
Right, down next to the wallabies is an animal which I feel really bad because I haven't made a sign for it. Not like an information sign, but a directional sign. So I feel like a lot of people miss this animal. Whether or not she'll be out, I don't know. So, in this very steep enclosure, we have a savanna species. So one of our plans actually is to move her out and put her into a flat savanna-y area. And this is a serval. So she's pretty elusive. We had a very kind of last minute decision getting her, so that's why we knocked at this enclosure, which is a great enclosure. It's just not ideal for her species. So the plan is we want to put her somewhere a bit more flat, so that we can showcase her a lot better. Maybe with an on-show house, so that when she's in her house, people can actually still see her. Oh, there she is. Oh, look, she's sneaking up. She's sneaky. She's sneaky in the middle there. I don't know if you can see her, but she's like there. So this is a Eshottheugh, and Eshottheugh was hand-reared. So I don't know if you remember what I was saying about hand-reared animals, but hand-reared animals are generally a little bit naughty. And that is because they understand that people are not dangerous. So they've seen the soft, squishy side of you. So therefore what they do is they take the mick. So Eshottheugh can be a little bit naughty. So compared to a parent-reared serval, you can go in with a parent-reared serval, no bother. And generally they leave you alone and stay away. But hand-reared serval wants to be all up in your stuff. So we don't work in with her anymore. We do protected contact only. But as an exhibit, she's still an absolutely stunning animal. And she is 5 years old. There she goes. She's had enough now. She's bored. She's 5 years old, and what we want to do, like I said, is move her somewhere flat. And this enclosure, I don't know if you remember me saying in the other video, would make an ideal like snowy owl habitat. If we add some more rocks in there, it's a little bit more extreme terrain, put some little perchy bits in there, I think the snowy owl would look really good in here. So we've always got a plan of like backfilling. If you go down this path here, we've got our little bug hotel bit. A couple of bits here where shows you how you can make bug hotels and stuff in your garden, which is really cool. And then this path comes back out, and you may recognize we're down at the river again, and we're next to the Kookaburra. So we've just done a big loop there. So there's a Kookaburra. So I think what we'll do is we'll have a quick look at the otters, and then I'm gonna leave it there for this week because I've taken up too much of your time already. And then we'll have a look at the new domestics area and the guinea pig village and everything next week. So out the top of the Serval, we've got the otter enclosure. So we got the otters in 2018, and we did get a group of 5. Some of you will probably be like, where's the otters gone? So we've got 3 otters now. So again, this is a non-breeding group. And again, it was one of those situations with a stud book of like, right, it's your first time holding otters, so we'll give you these animals that don't breed. That's fine, totally cool. You got to start somewhere, right? So we've got Harry Otter. Just don't ask, we didn't name them. Harry Otter, and it was 4 sisters that came with him. So obviously he couldn't breed anyways. But over time, obviously, as the animals matured, certain individuals wanted to leave. So we've actually 2 girls moved out, so they've gone to 2 other zoos, just because they were falling out all the time with our girls. So now we've got a group of 3. They get along just fine. They've got this bit of a pond here, which they go in. But Asian short-clawed otters are like one of the more kind of terrestrial otters, so their enclosure terrestrial space to water space ratio is higher. So but they're not out at the minute, which is a bit disappointing. They are the noisiest residents by far. They're usually sat up on top of a log shouting at people, heckling people. I know Lucy's got some plans to theme this out a bit more, add some more structures in here, and try and make it a little bit more exciting. Inside the house there's some what's called halts. So there are boxes, so those pipes go straight into these boxes that will be filled with straw, so they have their little beds in there. There's little slides on them so we can lock them in and out, and we've got a little pen at the back there that you can't see, which is a little holding area if for whatever reason we need to pop them in there. And that all hooks on to the top of the birds of prey. So as you can see, we're kind of looped back around on ourselves, and we are back at the tree porcupines and the top of the birds of prey there. So let's have a little look at what we've done so far and what we're going to do next week. So main entrance here, prairie dogs, bats, going up here. That was day 1. I didn't do very well that day, did I? Next day we went to birds of prey, around to the Arctic foxes along here, and we had a look in lemurs. Today we started off at the lynx, went to the raccoons, had a little look around the back. Snow leopards, alpacas, tapirs and capybaras. Skip down here to the wallabies and the otters, and we're back here again. So what have we missed so far then? A lot. We've got parrots that we can go do next week. The tractor museum for any of you guys who are into your classic tractors. The guinea pig village. We've got our play areas, and then there's the massive domestic area walk round as well. So that'll be next week's episode. If any of you have any questions about anything that you've seen today, or if there's anything in particular that you would like me to show you, then do drop them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for subscribing. We've had so many subscriptions, it's been brilliant. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I hope you guys have a really awesome week, and I shall see you next week. Bye guys.